Astonishment, lingering sorrow, and profound silence are the emotions that wash over me. After researching and learning about more than 100 Black public figures connected to the tragedies of ultimate loneliness, leaving this world without friends or family by their side in their twilight years. Hello everyone, we are our Memory Vault, and this is the video 11 Black celebrities who were the loneliest, no friends or family. This greatly impacts how we view the harsh flip side of the glamorous spotlight, and it might just leave you stunned. This video is perfect to play while you are resting, enjoying a meal with your family, or doing chores around the house. All the information in this video has been carefully researched and gathered from multiple sources. If there are any oversights, please leave a comment below to help our channel continue to grow. Please follow the channel, hit the like button, and turn on the notification bell to receive updates on our earliest videos. Now, let us step right into the stories of our first figures. Sly Stone. Sly Stone. The genius leader of the band, Sly and the Family Stone, is one of the greatest architects of funk, soul, and psychedelic music. With a musical mindset far ahead of his time, he created mesmerizing melodies, carrying messages of peace and unity that blurred racial boundaries. During his peak years in the 60s and 70s, Sly Stone emerged as a musical deity, a symbol of the counterculture movement, with a vibrant fashion sense and a constantly radiant smile. The combination of multiracial members in his band was a proud artistic statement. Wherever he appeared, the crowd cheered, worshiping him as a savior of free rhythms. Audiences once believed that a person who brought so much joy and connection to humanity would certainly have a life overflowing with love. However, when the velvet curtain of his golden era closed, a harsh reality began to surround the talented artist. The pressure of fame, internal conflicts within the band, and severe financial losses due to unfavorable contracts pushed Sly Stone into a downward spiral of crisis. He gradually withdrew from the stage lights, retreating into a quiet, private world and completely isolating himself from those who once stood by his side. The climax of this loneliness is the image of a music legend who once shook illustrious festivals, now having to live homeless days, sheltering in a dilapidated camper parked on nameless streets. The friends of his golden era gradually faded away, his family scattered, leaving him alone to face distant memories and the cold turning back of the entertainment industry. Reflecting on the ultimate loneliness of Sly Stone, audiences who have tasted enough flavors of life will realize an incredibly sorrowful lesson about the fleeting nature of fame. His story proves a poignant truth. The stage halo can bring you tens of thousands of fans, but it may not keep a true soulmate for you when the storms hit. To the mature generation, his tragedy teaches us to appreciate sincere, unselfish relationships. Wealth and public adulation are ultimately just bursting bubbles. The only thing that saves a human soul in its twilight years is a solid home and family affection. Sly Stone's loneliness will forever remain a sad low note, reminding us never to trade family ties for illusory vanities. Florence Ballard. Florence Ballard, a founding member and the original powerhouse voice of the legendary girl group The Supremes, possessed an innate talent that made everyone look up to her. With a strong, deep, and soulful voice, she was the true soul of the group during their early days stepping into the music industry. Her sharp beauty confidence and intense passion for singing helped Florence and her teammates open a golden era for the Motown record label. On glamorous stages, they were haughty ladies representing the life-changing dreams of countless young Black girls. Florence once stood at the top of the world, surrounded by brilliant camera flashes, lavish dresses, and countless sweet praises from the media. It seemed her future was a path paved with roses with no end in sight. Yet the unforgiving nature of commercial calculations quickly stripped away everything that Florence Ballard had painstakingly built. When the record label decided to change its strategy to attract a mass audience, Florence was gradually pushed into the shadows, becoming a faint silhouette in the very music group she founded. The dissatisfaction, the feeling of having her efforts taken away, and unspoken psychological traumas caused her to fall into a state of profound breakdown. Forced to leave the group with a highly unfair financial settlement, Florence lost both her career and the friends who once shared her struggles. In her final years, she had to struggle with extreme poverty, relying on social welfare, and facing the coldness of those who once praised her. Loneliness surrounded the talented woman, causing her to depart quietly and with stifled sorrow at an all too young age. Looking back at the tragedy of Florence Ballard, parents cannot help but feel a choked-up sorrow about the far too expensive price of trade-offs in the entertainment world. Her story teaches a highly practical lesson. The world of fame is an uncompromising marketplace where friendship is easily broken by economic interests. To audiences in their 50s, Florence's loneliness is a poignant reminder to equip oneself with solid bravery to face life's impermanence. We are often easily blinded by glamorous promises, only to find that when the lights go out, the only thing left is an unfillable void. Florence's legacy will forever be a lingering sigh, teaching each person to build core values from their most beloved family members. The coldness of the entertainment world pushed Florence Ballard down, but the tragedy of being turned away by an entire era for bravely standing up to protect the truth of the prodigy. Right up next is truly a heavy sigh. Please do not rush to look away from the screen. Paul Robeson. Paul Robeson, a rare prodigy in human history, was not only an outstanding singer and actor, but also an erudite scholar, a linguist, and an excellent athlete. With a deep baritone voice resonating like thunder, he breathed life into folk songs and classic plays, elevating black art to a new, highly academic and solemn height. His transcendent intellect and versatility turned him into a global icon, a priceless pride not only of America, but also of peace-loving people worldwide. Before the public, Paul Robeson appeared as a towering monument, a man carrying the aura of a great figure, using all his talent and influence to fight tirelessly for the equality of disadvantaged lives. However, it was that very courage and steadfast stance that pushed him into one of the most unforgiving, isolating tragedies of the 20th century. When he dared to raise a strong, critical voice against social injustices and racial discrimination, Paul Robeson became the target of contemporary powers. He had his passport revoked, was banned from performing. His name was erased from records, and he was systematically boycotted. This blockade closed all doors to his livelihood and severed all his international ties. Even more painfully, out of fear of being implicated, countless friends and colleagues he had once helped gradually avoided him and turned their backs. In his twilight years, the celebrity once admired by the whole world had to live under unspoken house arrest, withdrawing into a quiet apartment without a single round of applause, without a soulmate to share his thoughts on the times. Reflecting on the great loneliness of Paul Robeson, those who have tasted enough of life's ups and downs will realize a highly profound truth about the price of honesty. His story teaches us that pioneers who dare to protect what is right often have to accept a path full of thorns and solitude. To the mature generation, the silence enveloping his final years is a sorrowful testament to the narrow-mindedness of human hearts in the face of life's storms. Although contemporary society turned its back on him, his dignity and resilience were never defeated. Robeson's tragedy reminds each of us to always maintain our character, never bowing before unreasonable pressures. His loneliness was not a weakness, but the pinnacle of self-respect and a noble soul. Butterfly McQueen. Butterfly McQueen, the actress, possessing a highly distinctive, high-pitched voice, left an eternal mark in cinematic history with her role as the maid Prissy in the classic masterpiece Gone with the Wind. Although she had to take on a character bearing many narrow-minded prejudices about black people, at the time she used her charm and innate acting ability to breathe life into the role, making her unforgettable to global audiences. Her appearance on the silver screen brought gentle laughter, a unique highlight amidst the epic backdrop of the film. During the golden age of cinema, Butterfly McQueen was expected to open a bright path, a woman carrying a burning passion and a desire to dedicate more diverse, deeply layered roles to the public. Yet the reality of an entertainment industry full of stereotypes and discrimination quickly extinguished those brilliant dreams. Unwilling to accept being continuously forced into demeaning roles, she bravely stood up to refuse unfair contracts. This highly self-respecting decision meant that all doors for advancement were slammed shut on her. With no income from acting, she had to struggle with all kinds of jobs to make a living, from waitressing and cleaning to factory work. Living in quietness and poverty, she did not marry, nor did she have close friends in the entertainment world to lean on. Toward the end of her life, her loneliness became even more apparent as she lived a reclusive life in a simple, small house. Sadly, her departure in a fire accident at that very home took place in desolation without a single relative by her side. Contemplating the quiet life and sorrowful end of Butterfly McQueen audiences who have entered their 50s will draw an invaluable lesson about the trade-off between self-respect and fame. Her story proves a deeply agonizing truth. Resolutely protecting one's dignity sometimes forces a person to accept ultimate loneliness. To us, her act of refusing humiliation teaches a highly powerful life philosophy, never losing one's character for money or glamorous halos. Even though she had to live her final years forgotten by the masses and absent of family affection, her soul always remained noble. That desolation is a sorrowful indictment, while also reminding us to always open our arms in love to those who suffer many disadvantages. Paul Williams. Paul Williams. The sole and original lead vocalist of the famous group The Temptations, possessed a highly inspiring baritone voice and an incredibly elegant performance style. As one of the first founders of the group, he contributed not only his singing voice, but also created the uniform, smooth choreographed dance steps, which became the legendary trademark of The Temptations. On stage, Paul always exuded a source of positive energy, a gentle smile, and absolute dedication to art. The first recordings under his guidance paved the way for countless subsequent glories in popular music. In the eyes of fans and colleagues, he was a warm older brother, a talented artist who always knew how to yield and nurture the collective brilliance of the group. Despite bringing countless brilliant successes, the hidden corners in Paul Williams's soul were a painting full of dark colors and unceasing torment. The vicious sickle cell anemia continuously tormented his body with bone-piercing pains. Furthermore, the internal fluctuations of the group and his declining personal status pushed him into a state of severe mental breakdown. To soothe his physical pain and internal struggles, he vulnerably turned to alcohol, causing his health and voice to plummet. Forced to leave the music group he had spent his youth building, Paul sank into loneliness and financial impasse. The friends who once stood shoulder to shoulder were now swept up in the wheel of new fame, leaving him stranded amidst debts. That ultimate despair closed his life in a quiet and tear-soaked tragedy when he was still very young. Through the lens of those who have tasted the ways of the world, the lonely tragedy of Paul Williams brings a highly poignant reflection on the coldness of the entertainment world. His story teaches us a sorrowful lesson. When people are still at their brilliant peak, they will be surrounded by praises, but when sick and declining, isolation is the ultimate pain they must endure. For parents, his departure is a profound reminder to care more deeply about the internal struggles of loved ones. Money or fame can never buy a healing medicine for loneliness. His artistic legacy remains forever brilliant, but the desolation in his final moments teaches humanity about the importance of empathy and compassion in life. If isolation pushed Paul Williams into a dead end, then the harsh rejection reserved for the great sound-creating god behind the scenes, right up next, will surely make you feel heartbroken. Let us continue to uncover the hidden corners ahead. Jamerson. James Jamerson. The great monument and the silent genius mind behind the resounding success of the Motown music empire single-handedly shaped the entire soul music era. With his unparalleled bass-playing technique and supreme musical intuition, he was the true soul of the Funk Brothers band, helping mold countless classic hits that shook the world. Jamerson's bass lines were not just rhythm. They were the heartbeat of immortal songs mesmerizing millions of listeners. In the eyes of professionals, he was an irreplaceable sound-creating demigod. However, in an industry that always shined the spotlight on lead singers, outstanding musicians like him had to bitterly accept standing behind the scenes without a word of gratitude, without a line of honor on the record covers. When the flow of music changed and the Motown label shifted to Los Angeles, James Jamerson was like a stranded boat left amidst the vast ocean. The emergence of electronic metronomes unfeelingly dismissed his traditional playing art. Losing his only haven, feeling betrayed and abandoned by the very place he had poured out his youth to build, Jamerson's mental state fell into the abyss. To soothe the pain of being unacknowledged, he turned to alcohol, causing his health and lucidity to decline rapidly. In his twilight years, the musical master had to live in poverty, illness, and chilling loneliness. He passed away in a quiet hospital room without the embrace of relatives, without a word of farewell from the superstars who had once shone brilliantly thanks to him. Reflecting on the desolate departure of James Jamerson, audiences who have tasted enough of the world's ups and downs will realize a sorrowful lesson about the fickleness of human hearts. His story teaches a highly poignant truth. Outstanding talent sometimes comes with ultimate loneliness if it is not properly acknowledged by society. To us, this tragedy is a reminder of the coldness of commercial wheels, where people are easily drained and forgotten when they no longer generate profit. It teaches each person to always appreciate the silent contributions behind the stage of life. Although he had to take his humiliation to a lonely grave, the magical sounds he left for humanity will always remain an eternal legacy. Zora Neale Hurston. Zora Neale Hurston. The outstanding pen and the brilliant pillar of the Harlem Renaissance movement left the world literary scene invaluable masterpieces. She was not only an exceptional writer, but also a talented anthropologist who spent her life preserving the folklore culture of Black people. Before the public and intellectuals, Zora appeared as a true, strong woman, incredibly independent, sharp, and never submitting to stereotypical prejudices. The image of a free woman wandering all roads to collect materials became a proud symbol of feminist strength. She once shone brilliantly, respected by countless people for her transcendent intellect, seemingly holding an unshakable academic and literary career in her hands. Yet, harsh literary shifts pushed her into a dark, forgotten corner of history. When reading tastes changed and publishers turned their backs one by one, she gradually lost her income and inherent status. The climax of the tragedy was when she became entangled in a baseless accusation, causing her reputation to be severely smeared, even though she was later exonerated. Her career completely collapsed, and Zora had to do grueling manual labor to make a living. In her final years, the once great author had to live in a dilapidated nursing home, financially exhausted, with no family by her side, and having lost contact with all her former friends. She took her last breath in ultimate loneliness, quietly buried in an unmarked, desolate grave. Contemplating the tragic end of Zora Neale, Hurston audiences entering their twilight years will realize an aching sorrow about the oblivion of an era. It teaches us a bitter truth. Even the greatest minds can be buried in coldness if the times turn their backs. Her tragedy is a profound wake-up call that society is often callous toward lives that have passed their peak period. Even though she departed in desolation without a single relative, her pages, soaked in sweat and tears, still endure through the years. The later resurrection of her reputation is a belated lesson, reminding humanity to cherish and appreciate true talents while they are still present in this world. Little Willie John. Little Willie John. The short-lived musical prodigy and one of the most powerfully influential R&B voices of the 50s possessed an innate talent that made the whole world take its hat off to him. With a small stature but a fiery tenor voice, he inspired countless subsequent legends, including the godfather of soul, James Brown. Thanks to a series of smash hits echoing across the charts, Willie John quickly tasted fame, wealth, and passionate adulation from a very young age. In the eyes of the public, he was a brilliantly shining phenomenon, a precious gem of the recording industry at the time, with a radiant future, seemingly having the whole world at his feet. Yet fame, arriving too early, became a toxic potion, ravaging the soul of a young man who had not yet developed solid bravery. The pressure of the halo and the surrounding temptations pushed little Willie John down the path of alcohol abuse, making his personality increasingly hot-tempered and out of control. Tragedy struck when he got involved in an unfortunate altercation leading to a manslaughter charge, and a harsh prison sentence. Behind the cold iron bars of the prison, all the glory of yesterday instantly turned to smoke and clouds. The entertainment world turned its back on him, and the friends who once stood shoulder to shoulder gradually abandoned him in oblivion. At the age of 30, the illustrious star took his last breath in a prison infirmary, passing away in loneliness, humiliation, and without a single relative by his side to comfort him. Through the contemplative perspective of mature audiences, the fading of little Willie John is a highly sorrowful sentence for the impulsiveness of youth lacking guidance. It teaches us a lesson paid in blood. Fame is incredibly fragile. A minute of unrestrained mistake can take away freedom forever. This tragic story reminds parents of the importance of character education alongside nurturing talent. When falling into the abyss of the law, all halos become meaningless, and the ultimate loneliness behind bars is exactly the harshest price. The absence of family affection in his final moments is a lingering sigh about the coldness of a performer's life. Esther Phillips. Esther Phillips, once loved by the public under the stage name Little Esther, was one of the most edgy, experienced, and pain-soaked female voices in R&B and blues music. Becoming a musical phenomenon since she was a little girl, she quickly dominated the charts with a raspy voice, carrying the weight of experiences far beyond her actual age. Throughout a career spanning decades with prestigious Grammy nominations, Esther proved her wonderful ability to embody the myriad emotional levels of a woman. On stage, she was a powerful queen, using her singing to confess romantic desires and the bitterness of a beauty's life, moving millions of audiences to tears of empathy and admiration. However, the glory stemming from her childhood was the source of a series of incredibly harsh personal tragedies. Being swept into the trap-filled entertainment environment too early pushed Esther Phillips onto the path of addiction to soothe massive pressures and the lack of family affection. Harmful substances gradually eroded her body severely, deteriorating her health. During the years of struggling with illness and efforts to make a comeback, she painfully realized there was not a single sincere friend around her. When she was no longer capable of bringing in profits, those who used to surround and flatter her turned their backs one by one. Her body ravaged by kidney failure, she lived her final days in absolute isolation, departing the earthly realm at the age of 48 without any flesh and blood embrace nearby. Through the contemplative lens of those who have passed half their lives, the lonely end of Esther Phillips is a highly sorrowful teaching about the dark side of a halo that blooms early and fades fast. Her story teaches us a truth: money and fame can never buy a peaceful childhood or a stable mindset. For us, this tragedy is a poignant reminder of the cold human relations in the entertainment world. When the singing stops, it is also when callousness surrounds fragile lives. Esther's unescorted departure is a lingering, sad song, reminding parents to always be a peaceful haven for their children, not letting them taste ultimate loneliness amidst the glamorous human realm. Onyeabor. William Onyeabor. The iconic musical genius of Nigeria was the greatest pioneering mind of the synth-funk electronic music genre on the African continent. In the 70s and 80s, he personally composed, produced, and released a series of futuristic-sounding albums perfectly combining African rhythms and state-of-the-art sound synthesizers. His music was a strange, highly philosophical phenomenon, attracting a passionate fan base globally. Before the public, William appeared not only as an outstanding artist, but also as a successful businessman, a mysterious figure always wearing dark glasses, making the whole world curious about the true identity of a mind ahead of its time. Yet while at the peak of fame, Onyeabor made a shocking decision to completely turn his back on music and his own illustrious past. He suddenly became a deeply devout person, locking himself in a quiet fortress and refusing all approaches from the media. His loneliness did not come from society's rejection, but was a voluntary isolation to a harsh degree. He did not allow anyone to mention his old work's severed ties with the art world and lived like a ghost. In his twilight years, he sank deep into an enclosed inner world without soulmate friends, without sharing emotions, and passed away quietly in absolute concealment from the human world. Reflecting on the extreme reclusiveness of William Onyeabor, mature audiences will draw a highly philosophical lesson about inexplicable internal struggles. The story teaches us that sometimes the applause of humanity is the noisiest sound to a soul yearning to find absolute peace. His isolation proves a complex mental state where fame is considered a burden. For us, this lonely tragedy reminds us of the importance of emotional connection. Voluntarily cutting all emotional ties with the outside world will only lead to a highly desolate end, leaving a brilliant legacy, but tinged with the melancholy of a heart permanently closed off. Closing the stories submerged in the desolation of talented artists. We truly understand deeply that the peak of fame always comes with incredibly cold prices. Their tragedies teach each of us an immutable truth. No matter how many brilliant achievements we reach, a peaceful family home and sincere soulmates are precisely the most invaluable assets supporting us through our entire human life. We respectfully wish you to always have tranquil, warm moments overflowing with laughter beside the family dinner table. If these reflections bring meaningful value, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the latest videos from our memory vault. Goodbye, and see you again.